Hannah Kessler.
This gal started her own bank at the age of 18, and then you became a self-made millionaire by the age of 24?
I did.
Hannah Kessler is a money mentor.
She's known as the single millionaire chick.
With advice on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Money starts with your mindset.
How you think about your money is going to greatly impact how much money that you have.
I grew up in a town called Olathe, Kansas. I'd be walking out of the door, going to school, and my mama would holler at me, "Hannah, make good choices." And I'd have to holler back, "Because the choices I make today will affect my future."
My parents, they did a very good job about teaching me as a child how to handle my money. We have a lack of understanding when it comes to money.
If you want your kids to have money, you need to start talking to them about it while they're young.
I'm really second generation to this concept that's called the infinite banking concept.
And at 18 years old, my dad gave me the choice to start my own bank that then led me to becoming a millionaire by the time I was 24.
Now you've written a book to help tie it all together.
So the companion is really just teaching kids that, not specifically money, but really important life lessons.
Now being the owner of the Money Multiplier, I help serve over 17,000 clients in every state of the country.
Where can people get the book?
HannahKessler.com. Hannah spelled the same way forwards and backwards, Kessler with one S.
Also, I got my podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast.
And make good choices today, because the choices you make today will affect your future.
Hello and good morning, my beautiful people. How are we doing this Thursday? I'm sorry I missed y'all last week. We were having some meetings, okay? I couldn't get away, but I'm excited to be back. We have a fun and exciting topic today. This is something I get asked a whole lot about, specifically with my chiropractors, because let's be real, right? When we got into this whole world of the infinite banking concept, Dad was a chiropractor. That was the first business that he built. And he had 5 clinics in the Kansas City area. That was my first ever job when I was 14 years old, as I was the CA, the chiropractic assistant at one of Dad's offices. And Mama was running the billing department. So I've always just been involved with entrepreneurs and being within the family business. And let me tell y'all something. I just got back from Mexico City this week. Long delays. Oh my goodness. Long delays. There were thunderstorms on Monday. My butt got stuck in the Atlanta airport for about 6 hours. That was annoying, but we finally got home Monday evening. And when I was out there in Mexico City, I had the opportunity to speak again at the Bankers Club of Mexico. And I was kind of thinking about, okay, what do I want to talk about? Because obviously I'm not going to go through my full entire presentation on the infinite banking concept. I don't got 90, 60 minutes. And I really talked about how it's important, if you have the opportunity to get into the family business, y'all do it. Okay. You're stupid to not get into the family business. I think it allows you to have more opportunities. It allows you to open up to greater networks that your parents or grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever it is, brothers, sisters have built. And they were the ones digging the ditch. And now you're able to join them and build this legacy and be a part of truly building the family empire. So anywho, that was the topic I talked about. I'll be posting some clips here soon on the YouTube channel and Instagram accounts. But when we were living in Kansas City, this is a strategy of how our family would retain good help. Because as business owners, it is hard to find and keep the good help. And there's a lot of different plans that are out there and a lot of mainstream vehicles that you could be using. And what my father would do is, instead of making a 401k or the other executive bonus plans, yada, 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 we'll get into it today, he would take out policies on his people. I remember he had multiple docs in the different clinics because we had the office in Olathe. Well, the first one was Ottawa, okay? Ottawa, Kansas. If y'all have ever been there, it's still probably the boonies. And I'm like, Dad, why'd you decide to open up the first office here? And Ottawa was about an hour south of where we were living in Olathe. And Dad would get up every single day, drive the hour, go treat the patients, and come back home. So that was the first office, was the Ottawa office. And then he opened up the Olathe office. Then from there, I want to say it was the Tonganoxie office. It was either the Tonganoxie one or he had the Overland Park office. And those were the 5, right? Olathe, Ottawa, Tonganoxie, Overland Park. I'm missing one. Anyways, it was in another city. It might have still been in Overland Park. But Dad would open up these offices and he needed the good associate docs to run the office. And I even remember Susie, okay, get this, y'all. Susie was our waitress at Outback Steakhouse. I still remember this night. She was our waitress. I was out at dinner with Mom, Dad. I'm pretty sure Nanny and Papa were in town and my brother. And Dad loved her. Dad thought that she was an amazing waitress. She was very attentive. She had a great personality. And so literally that night, Dad offered Susie, he says, hey, I have a chiropractic office. I'm looking for some help. Do you maybe want to have a conversation? And literally for like the last 5 years of when Dad was owning those clinics, Susie was still there. Anyway, so it's kind of fun where you find the good help. And don't be afraid to ask. Like if you see somebody that you're like, holy crap, you are so great at your job. How about you come and work over here with me? You know, what will it take? And this is an opportunity that will allow you to motivate your good help to want to stay with you, to build the vision, build the culture. So that's kind of what I want to get in here to today. As a reminder, I'm here Thursdays, 9 a.m. Eastern time, unless I specify beforehand. And this is the Thursday show, Money Mornings with Hannah. But I also have the podcast show, the Money Multiplier podcast, that gets released every Tuesday. So it's on all podcasting platforms, even on YouTube, the Money Multiplier podcast. So you can go in as we continue on with our infinite banking journey. Let's kind of start here because most people hear infinite banking and think, oh, this is just going to be used for my personal finance, the cash values, the policy loans, being your own bank, which is all true. And that's where a lot of people start with their whole journey, is they're utilizing it for their personal situation. And if you're new around here, okay, what is the infinite banking concept? Just high level. What it is we're utilizing properly structured whole life insurance. So what that means is if this whole life policy is designed properly and correctly for this concept, there's cash value inside of that whole life policy immediately. And my definition of immediately is within 30 days. And I still to this day, I think about my policies as, hey, it's my warehouse of my wealth. It's my glorified savings vehicle, if you will. Instead of me keeping my wealth at the local banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, TD Bank, wherever you bank with, instead of keeping my dollars there where the bankers are then using my money, making a good living using my money while they're paying me pennies, taxable pennies on the dollars that I'm leaving there. Instead of me doing that, I'm warehousing the money inside of my policies. And the reason that we do this is, hey, tax-free growth. It's a protected asset. It's still liquid. I have the accessibility, the control over the capital. And I'm the one who receives the interest, the profits, the dividends, rather than the bankers making a really good living off of my money. So high level, what is the infinite banking concept? So again, most people hear about IBC and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to use this within my personal life. I'm going to go buy the cars. I'm going to buy houses, buy my investments, fund my retirement. We talked about that a few weeks ago. We talked about Aunt Irma. Remember that? Go back to that episode if you want to know how to fund tax-free income during your retirement years. But here's really what a lot of us practitioners don't talk a whole lot about, which I think I can be better at. But this is one of the most powerful tools that you can retain the talent as you being a business owner, because you think that money is going to keep your top talent. It won't. Think about it. There are other chiropractic offices or other dental clinics or other people who are running a lawn care service. And what is stopping your good people to walk down the street to get a 3% salary increase? What's stopping them? You know, you can continue to pay them more and more money, but there was a book that I read, and it is by a gentleman. His name is Darren Hardy, and it's called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. And in that book, Darren Hardy talks about 5 things the key employees actually want, and he puts it in order of importance. Number 1, they want to work with other A players. They want to work with somebody and be in a community where they're rising, they're evolving, they're growing. So they want to work with other A players. Number 2, they want a company with a vision. This is where the culture and the vision of the business really comes from, which is so, so important. And they want to make sure that, hey, this company is going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to have a job, support for my lifestyle, and support for my family. Number 3, they want to be challenged to do good work. When you find good employees, they're not lazy. I think they can start getting lazy when they get bored. Matter of fact, like in our company, we give people personality tests. So even though you're coming in and you're saying, hey, I want to be a money mentor, or I want to join the application team or join the mapping team, I'm giving you a personality test because you may think you want to sit behind a computer and process applications every day, but your personality says otherwise. You're going to be miserable and you're going to hate doing these duties. So they really want to be challenged to do good work. Again, just continue to keep evolving. Number 4, they want to grow personally and professionally. This is where I've been actually kind of thinking about doing retreats for our employees. I thought that would be kind of fun. I've been looking into like summer camps. Okay, hear me out. How fun. We go and rent a park, and there's little cabins. I'm not going to make y'all sleep on the dirt. There's little cabins, and then it's a big summer camp, and there's water slides and hiking and canoeing and hanging around the campfire at the end of the night, roasting s'mores and telling scary stories. I mean, wouldn't that be kind of fun? And then building the culture, building each other's companionship with each other as colleagues together. Anyways, that's my idea. You can take it if you want. Tell me if you find a good park to go rent out. All right, but that's number 4. They want to grow personally and professionally. And then number 5, they want to be fairly compensated. So literally dead last on the top 5 is they want to be compensated. Remember, this was in order of importance to that employee. You continuing to pay them more and more money is going to put a Band-Aid on the situation. But this fix is giving them something that no competitor can give them. If you continue to utilize the policy for employee retention, giving them a plan to build their own wealth, giving them a death benefit for their family, now they're continuing to build with you and see this vision and want to continue to grow as you're growing and the train continues to move down the tracks. See what I'm saying? Let me sip my coffee. Now, let's see some of these comments that are coming in. Good morning, Mr. Dave. Fern, good to see you. Dexter, hello. Annette, great to see you all. Thanks for joining me every Thursday. Okay, here are some of the traditional plans that employers will offer their employees. Sometimes you will offer the non-qualified deferred compensation plan. And it's just really a fancy word, but honestly, it's expensive. It's complicated. You're going to have to pay a highly paid advisor just to maintain that plan. And it strangles your cash flow as a business owner, and you don't even get your tax deductions until way down the road when you transfer this benefit over to your employee. So, I could do that. There's pros and cons to all of these different vehicles, right? I could do a non-qualified deferred compensation. My opinion is that it's expensive, it's complicated, somebody has to babysit it, and then I don't even get the tax deductions until later on down the road. I could do a 401k match. That's the most mainstream. A lot of you people who are listening to me right now have a 401k, and your employer is probably matching into that account. Yes, you as the employer, you get the tax deduction, but think about what it's actually buying. You don't have any control over that plan. What's letting your employee to just leave the next day, roll it over into an IRA, take that money, and then just leave the next day? So you have no control being that employer. There's no loyalty because I can, as the employee, just leave with that plan and go somewhere else or go and convert it to another qualified account. Again, we like it though, because hey, you as the business owner, you do get the tax deduction. So love that, but there's no control. And what do we talk all the time in the infinite banking space? We talk about how can I control my monies, where I'm leaving my hard-earned dollars at. So I could do the 401k, or similar to infinite banking, executive bonus plans. Yeah, me as the employer, I get the immediate deduction, which is nice. There's no service period, and there's no control over the incentive. So it's a gift. It's a gift that you're giving to your employee, and it's not so much of a strategy. And if you go in and you look at all of these different plans, every one of these forces you as the employer to trade something, whether it's the benefit for the employee or the benefit for your business. And essentially your money's just going into this box now. It's closing it up, it's locking it up, and now I don't have the control or the accessibility or the liquidity over that money. And here's the biggest thing, y'all. What have we also learned about the infinite banking concept? What does Mama TK say all the time? Mama TK, she goes, your dollars are your little green men, and your objective is to go and multiply the green man, create an army of green men that are out there working even harder for you. So don't allow your dollar just to have one duty in one job. You want to continue to multiply on your green men. Okay. And that's why as an investor, I like infinite banking, because it allows me to give my dollar the extra duty to work harder for me, making interest uninterrupted, tax-free, guaranteed inside of my policy. And I'm over here making interest in the investment deal that I'm doing. So I'm giving it the extra duty, working harder for me. I'm thinking about this conversation I just had yesterday about my investors. Sometimes y'all pick up on infinite banking quickly because you understand cash flow, you understand leverage, but y'all are such in the mainstream thinking of interest rates. Y'all just for some reason cannot get over the policy loan interest rate. And you guys like to compare the growth of the policy. Okay, if I get a guaranteed interest plus my dividends, let's call it 5%, I'm getting 5% in my policy, but I'm also paying 5% on the policy loan. So it's kind of coming out in a wash. And it's like, no, it's so much deeper than that. Let's talk about compounding interest versus simple interest on our policy loans. But I digress. We can go into more of those advanced topics later. So instead, here's what my dad would do. Dad would go to Susie or his other docs, and he would say, hey, allow me to put this policy on your body. I want to open this whole life policy on you. I'm going to be the owner of this policy. You, employee, you're going to be the one who's the insured. You're going to have the death benefit on you. And then there's a beneficiary. You can decide, this is up to you, you're in control of this. You can decide whether the business gets owed the death benefit, essentially listing the business as the beneficiary. You could list yourself as the beneficiary, you, Mr. Employer, or you could even incentivize even deeper and say, hey, employee, I'll split the death benefit. I'm going to take 50% or 70% of the death benefit. And then I'm going to give your family, whoever you want to name, the other 50% or 30% of the death benefit. So that's another way that you can really incentivize and create this permanent protection on your key employee and allow them to want to stay. They want the death benefit. Because let me pause for a second. Let me talk to you about another conversation I just had this week. I get a phone call from somebody who's seen me at a lot of events, okay, up in Indiana at the Ohio RIA. And I asked her, I said, why did it take you so long to schedule a call with me? And she says, well, really what I'm looking at is my husband. My husband has group term insurance with his employer, but nobody ever told us that after this term time ends, if we want to renew that policy to maintain the death benefit that's on there, I'm going to have to pay 3 times the amount of premium just to maintain this death benefit on the group term policy. Nobody ever told us that. And on top of it, last summer, he had to go get open heart surgery. So nobody told us to plan for major accidents, major surgeries, that the premiums were going to go up. Nobody called and told me that. I had to figure that out on my own when I got a notice and a statement in the mail from the insurance company and where my policy is held. I think it's also a good point of why it's important to have somebody there that's not just going to do quarterly check-ins with quarterly. Words are hard this morning. I meant annual. Annual check-ins with you rather than doing it on a quarterly basis, whether it's with your financial advisor or your money mentor, or if you're over here at the Money Multiplier, you have your implementation person, and they're your designated go-to person for anything that you need, servicing help, strategy planning, how do I take out this cash value? Hey, I'm having a hard time and I'm struggling to get login access to the insurance company. Can you help me? So it's just important to have that good relationship of somebody who's going to be there to support you as time evolves, because you got to understand, right? Even like in your business, you are in that business day in and day out. I'm in this business day in and day out. So I understand the insurance business like it's the back of my hand, but I understand that y'all don't. It's just like my lawn care guys. I don't know what stuff you're putting on the grass out there. I don't know how you're killing the weeds, nor do I really care. I just care that y'all get the job done. We don't need to go into all those details personally. That's not important to me right now. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand that these people aren't in this business day in and day out like you are. So it's important to be there for your clients, for your employees, to continue to educate them as time goes on. And things change. The economy changes, especially being over here within the money business. Anyways, back to it. Dad would go to that employee and say, hey, allow me to take this policy out on your body. I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it, or my business is going to own it. You, as the employer, control the contract. you have access to the cash value and you're able to grow the money inside of the policy. They, the employee, have a death benefit. They have the life insurance on their body. They have a future now with this policy, because what dad did is he says, hey, if you stay with me for 10 years or longer, I am going to pay you, whether it's a lump sum, you can choose, pay a lump sum from the cash value out of the policy. I can pay you a guaranteed income stream for the next 20 years. Let's say I'm going to pay you $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year. That's what I'm going to pay you as a retirement income using the cash value from the policy. Or option 3, you could even transfer that ownership of the policy over to that key employee in the future. It's really up to you. Those are your 3 options that you could do. And maybe y'all strategize, got even more options that I'm not even thinking about. But dad would choose the option of the monthly income stream. And if that person were to stay with dad for 10 years or longer, then now they're able to receive that guaranteed income stream. And literally, it just was a afternoon. They called up the attorney and said, hey, draft up these documents and this is what I want. And then both me and the employee are going to sign off on it. It's an option. And why dad liked it this way is because now he's not losing his capital and he's still able to access that money in the future when he needs it. Because remember, our dollar, we wanted to have multiple duties. Dad needed to fund for adjustment tables, marketing and advertising, replacing the headrest paper, the tissue paper in the bathroom, cleaning supplies for the office. I remember he even was selling Isagenix, okay? Isagenix was a nutrition supplement, if you will. I even remember he had the alkaline water and people would come in with their jugs and start filling up their alkaline water and start taking it home with them. So there's expenses when you run a business, right? And so dad was able to finance and fund for those expenses through the policy, the taxes that he had to pay for the business. So he's able to continue to use the cash value, but then also retain and support that employee as they continue to wealth build for themselves. He would even do it with bonuses. Still to this day, we do it. You could offer your team at the end of the year. A lot of people are familiar with your Christmas bonuses. Instead of me just paying you out directly for the Christmas bonus, would you want the cash, or should I go and put it inside of your policy, your retirement income fund? What do you want to do? So there's a whole bunch of different strategies. And I guess I would just urge y'all, just get on the phone with me, connect with me on a phone call if you want to walk through how this is going to work in your personal business and what you are doing. Because if that employee leaves, get this, if you don't fulfill your end of the duty, Mr. Employee, and you pass away, I'm a little sick, y'all, okay? Sorry. If you leave, Mr. Employee, before those 10 years are up, I'm the owner of the policy contract. I still own this thing. And you didn't keep up your end of the contract by staying with me for this amount of time. Who cares? I still have the policy. I control it. I'm the owner of this contract. So it even gives you as the business owner extra protection when you're trying to figure out how can I use this system to maintain the loyalty. I'll tell you another thing. We would even use our policies to pay for dental insurance, health insurance. They wanted other benefits. Dad would take out the cash value and pay those premiums for the employee, giving your dollar another duty. So how can I start to have this conversation with my employee? Every other practice or your competitors, they are probably pitching the same thing to them. Hey, we have competitive pay. I'm going to give you a 3% match and we got great culture over here. Okay, that's probably what your competitors would say. But what you could come in and say that's different is, you employee, come with me, come build this practice with me. Well, we're going to open up a policy with your name. You're going to be the insured person. You're going to have the death benefit. And what's going to happen is this policy, it's going to grow every single year. The cash value and the death benefit will continue to grow each and every year. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's why we like whole life insurance and not IULs, VULs, et cetera, because it's guaranteed contractual interest. Complete this time in the service period with me. Complete these 10 years with me. And at the end of it, you can either elect to have a lump sum waiting for you or a guaranteed stream of income for the next 20, 30 years. Again, whatever you decide. And when you start to educate your employee on the benefits of whole life insurance and how that uninterrupted compounding becomes greater and greater year after year, that $4 an hour raise that you're promising them year after year is going to look like chump change, okay? Because the whole point of these policies too, not the whole point, but the big exciting topic, it grows uninterrupted compounding interest. And if you think about that, it's powerful as these policies get more aged, efficient, and matured. My mama's oldest policy, 18 years old, this past February, turned 18 years old. When she put $1 inside of that policy, her cash value grew by $2.49. What's that rate of return, Mr. Financial Advisor? And that's just happening inside of the policy. And that's tax-free growth. I'm not even talking about what mom and pops are doing outside in the outside world with real estate, gold, silver, etc. So getting on the side of the right side of compound interest, as these vehicles continue to grow and compound as time goes on, it's just going to be getting more and more mature. So think about how that kind of starts with your interview, right? If you're in this interviewing process and you really, really like this specific person, this allows them to have the long-term vision with you that they're not going to want to go anywhere else because they want to have these incentives that you're giving to them. So again, business owners, you can use the cash value now, buy equipment, expand to a second location. That's what Dad did. Knock down a chunk of maybe your tax bill that you have, and you can even float this business during down times. There's a construction worker that I was talking with. He owned his own construction company and he had employees, right? And normally what happens is, okay, I'm going to pay you a third now, a third in the middle of the job, and then a third at the very end. Or maybe it's half now, half at the end when the job is done. And he needed his policy to float him through the time where they spent all the money on the materials and some labor, but I still got to pay my guys. I need some money to float the business until that next chunk of money comes in when the job is completed. That's another way of how you can utilize this system. Do you kind of see why now how Nelson called this the infinite banking concept? I kind of joke about that, but like for real, there's infinite ways of how you can use the policy. There's infinite growth inside of the policy, uninterrupted compounding, and there's infinite ways of how you can set this thing up. Do I have my business own it? Do I have my business pay for the premiums? Is my business going to be the beneficiary? What's the best way that I should set this up, Hannah? I'm glad you asked. Hop on a phone call with me. Send me an email, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. Hannah spelled the same way, forwards and backwards, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. Before I let y'all go, though, because I know this was a lot of information, and I'm not feeling my hottest today. I got some loogies in my throat, and I don't know what it is. I got maybe sick on the road, or maybe I'm back with my cats again. Because let me tell you something I don't like to admit, but I'm kind of allergic to cats. And I learned this when I was 17 and I moved out to my first apartment. And I was still working at the chiropractic office back then. And one of my coworkers, she lived on a farm, and her cat got knocked up, for lack of better words. And they had a litter of kittens. And she goes, hey, I need to get rid of some of these cats. And you've been talking about how you want to get an animal. So how would you take one of these kittens that I got? And I said, okay, fine, I'll take a cat. And I remember we met outside of the chiropractic office in Olathe. We met outside the office. I pull up in my Nissan Altima. She pulls up in her white truck, and she hops out of the car, and she's got one kitten under this armpit and another kitten over here. And she goes, you're going to need two of them because one's going to get lonely all by itself. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to take both of them. And that's how Daisy was born. And that's how I had my other cat, Tallulah. And they were sisters, and it was amazing. I didn't tell my apartment complex when I got them. Sorry. I was like, I ain't paying the pet insurance. But anyways, don't do that. Don't do that. That's bad. Okay. Bad hand. Bad. Anyways, but when they first came in, I was getting really stuffy, and the mucus was running, and I was like, okay, my eyes were watering. I was like, this is not great. But then as time went on, I think my immune system just built up to it that I don't get sick with them anymore. But I think with being on the road for 2 weeks and then coming back, I think maybe it's my allergies kind of kicking back up again. Come on, immune system, let's do this. Anyways, last thing I want to leave y'all. It is important to have death benefit on your employees because death happens. Death is the inevitable. I know we don't like to think about it. We don't want to talk about it, but that's the only guarantee of life. You're guaranteed to die, pass, graduate at some point in your life. And this is making me think now of another gentleman who called me up. He has the John Deere tractor stores, and his wife, actually, they're in business together, husband and wife. The wife sends me a text, and it was a Sunday evening. It was about 8:00, and I remember this because my butt was sitting inside of my bathtub, and I get this text, and she goes, hey, I would like to schedule a call with you sometime early this coming week because our employee, 32 years old, just passed away suddenly over the weekend. And he was the operations manager. I don't know how to run this business without him. 32 years old, died of a heart attack. And she goes, now given he wasn't the healthiest, he was overweight, he was kind of obese, but 32 years old, you would never think at 32, heart attack, this man passing away. And now what they had to do is they had to go into the stores and run the operations. They couldn't focus on building the locations or building and working on the business because they had to go and work in the business now. So how much does it really cost you if you lose that key employee? After doing some research and due diligence, let's say you have an employee that you're paying them a $90,000 a year salary. Let's call it 100,000 just for easy math. Okay, let's just say it's 100,000. That can add up and cost you anywhere from $120,000 to $180,000 because now you have lost production while they're not there. There's a lack of production. We've lost some production. I got to go and pay recruiting agencies or the fees to them. I got to go and post out job ads. How about my time interviewing the other people? How much is your time worth? How much do you value your time? How much are you worth? I started saying that my hourly rate is $500 an hour. That's how much I'm worth. How much is your hourly rate really worth? So now you're spending the time interviewing those people. Now it's the time of 6 months where you have to train your employee, get them to the standard of where your last employee was. And also, it's even like the loyalty in the relationship with your clients or your patients and even the team. You have to build that up because this is a new person. It's almost like a new person walking to your family and you're like, who is this person? I remember having that thought when my brother started dating his new girlfriend, and I was like, who's this girl? Is she qualified? Does she have the standard of being in the Kessler family? It was a thought that I had, let's be honest. Luckily, she passed the test. She's amazing. And I truly think she's going to be my future sister-in-law. Sorry, Bubs, if you're listening to me. But it is, even building up that relationship with your team, your clients, your patients, and how everybody is just working together. It's the time lost out of that too. So that's why I like these policies. We do it within our business over here at the Money Multiplier. It's one of the, what's the right word? I want to say bonus, but that's not the right word. It's a incentive that we give even our team over here when they maintain loyalty. What we do over here is we offer it a year in. If you're here for a year longer, this is when this benefit starts happening. And honestly, you could even match policy premiums. Like let's say your employee. Okay, another way. All right, ADD brain, sorry, but here's another way. Let's say you and the employee, you can co-own the policies together. You can co-own them. The insured person is the employee. Death benefit, let's say you split it 50-50 between you both. And y'all being co-owners, let's say that they want to pay $200 a month towards the policy. And you're going to match them $200 a month. So now you have a policy, $400 a month. They're paying $2, you're paying $2. And this is another way of how you can implement this whole strategy. So lots of different options. As I said, reach out to me if you want to have these conversations. Let me see some of these questions. Dave is asking, can you do this with any employee or do you have to offer it to all employees? Ooh, Dave, I'm so happy you brought this up. Thank you. This is an important part because there are some plans over there where you cannot discriminate, for lack of better words. You have to offer that same plan to all of your employees. Your top CEO and the janitor, you have to offer that same plan to them. Where whole life insurance, you can discriminate a little bit. And that sounds bad. I need to find another word, but my brain's not working that well. But you do not have to offer this to everybody. And that's a big, great bonus. So that's all my thoughts here this morning. I'm going to continue to do like a business owner series. I can talk deeper on how I'm using my policies for business ownership, marketing dollars, how I'm paying taxes with my policies. I think that might help y'all, but expand deeper into infinite banking instead of just on a personal level. How can I use this on my business level? Think bigger, think deeper, because you truly can. So if you need me, you know where to find me. Send me an email. I'm going to put it up here on the bottom of the screen, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. And I'm going to be back next Thursday. I probably might be in my van next Thursday. So we'll see. I really want to head up north for a little bit. I want to be in my van. It's been a minute and I want to go on the road again. And I have some stuff happening up in Tennessee, so I'll be up there. I was going to also pop into like the panhandle of Florida. One of my best girlfriends has been staying up there for some time and I miss her. I want to go see her. And maybe stop in Bama, go see grandma and grandpa for a little bit too. So that's what's on my agenda. So it might be in the van next time y'all see me. My duties, my task for this weekend is I want to get the oil change in the van. I want to check on tire pressure. inside of the van, I already cleaned it. I have OCD. I can't let stuff just like sit like that. So I already cleaned the van, but I think that's where I'm going to be at next Thursday. Don't know what topic we're going to cover next week, but as I continue on, send me an email if you have specific topics you want me to get deeper into. But honestly, y'all, I just think about topics as they're heavy on my mind and the conversations that I'm having over the course of the week and what value that I can give to y'all as you continue to learn, evolve, and expand in your money journey and your financial life. So thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video if you're watching on YouTube, give my account a follow. It helps your girl out. I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye, Money Multipliers.